Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Earlier this week, Claire Tippins shared a princess nickname generator, 3 pictures of her dog wearing a tutu, and 2 online quizzes, including, what candy is your dream castle made of? Claire, your sharing has tipped the sugar scale and turned into oversharing. But have no fear, princess. Geico has something worth sharing with your internet kingdom, like how you could save hundreds on your car insurance just by visiting geico.com. No magic wand required. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
This is Cinema Savants.
I have a very bad feeling about this.
Your hosts today are Lee Vowell.
That neighbor's not safe outside the shower.
And Todd Vandenberg.
I don't scratch my head unless it itches, and I don't dance unless I hear some music. I will not be intimidated. That's just the way it is.
The greatest guys in the world.
And welcome to this edition of Cinema Savants with Todd and Lee. And as always, of course, we'd like to thank I-95 Sports Network for replaying this show, and everyone else who listens to this, and follow us on the Twitter at Cinema or at Savant Cinema, and follow us on Facebook at Cinema Savants. I'm Lee. There's Todd. So let's get straight into the box office this week. Todd, why don't you talk about the box office?
I like the box office, so I think I'll talk about the box office. So, this weekend, what happened? People got scared a lot. Lee was one of the people who got scared a lot, to the tune of $40 million. Lee, thank you for your $40 million. You have covered the production budget for The Conjuring 2. Seriously, I mean, they made it for $40 million. They grossed $40 million. I mean, almost nice. So, good job.
Are you surprised it's only $40 million production budget? I mean, not that it's like worth $100 million. I mean, there's good actors. There's really good actors in it, actually.
They're really good actors, but they're not top names. I mean, they're not like top dollar actors, you know. So they're excellent actors, absolutely, but they're not the actors. They're not A-list guys, people.
That's true.
Ladies.
The movie, and for those who haven't seen it, it does star Tom Cruise, George Clooney, and Julia Bullard.
Very true.
So,
very true.
Yeah. So
it made about what the original did in its opening. So as sequels have had a rough year so far. So for The Conjuring 2 to make almost what the original did in its opening weekend, which I think was 41, that's a good job for a sequel. And from what you saw it, so you'll go into it later on when we get in depth with it. But Warcraft opened to a pretty soft 24 here.
Hey, if I could interject just for a second.
No, you can't.
You did mention $40 million,
Yeah.
but $12,000 a screen. Just want to throw that in there. So it had fewer screens than Warcraft. So.
Yes. Yeah, and what is it, 80% more than Warcraft, 90% more than Warcraft? Yeah, Warcraft, everyone thought, I'm sure the producers thought, would be the big winner. Universal can't be too happy that they came in a horrible second to The Conjuring. However, overseas, it's a huge hit in China, so they're happy with that. So Warcraft, there's going to be a Warcraft 2 or World of Warcraft or whatever they're going to say. I haven't seen the film yet. A lot of the complaints that have been out there about it have been that basically it just seems like it's setting up the sequels. Too much of, we're setting the stage for, you'll see this happen in the second movie. So, without having seen it, I can't speak to that, but clearly there will be a second movie because it is doing well globally. Now You See Me Too, the Magician movie, it's did 20.
What is
23.
that? What is that movie?
It is the sequel to Now You See Me, which is a magician movie, which is a heist magician thing, which I didn't see, which came out a couple of years ago. And it sounds like a fun movie. It's got a great cast. For whatever reason, it just wasn't on my radar then. It's not really on my radar this time. This is one of these things that eventually I'll catch on Hulu Plus or Netflix or Amazon Prime or any other streaming thing you want to talk about. But I don't know. It looks like it's okay and looks like, that'll be fun, but I'm not going to be sad that I missed it at the theater. I just don't think it's going to be one of those flicks. And total, so that's its opening weekend. So of course that's its total gross is $23 million. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Out of the Shadows dropped 58%. It is not doing particularly well. It's its third week, and this week it did just under 15. It's totaled $61 million. Not particularly terrific I'm sorry, that's his second week. My bad, but still.
It's a $135 million budget, so I know what you're about to say, and you're about to say it correctly. Which is, it's not going to make its budget. It's disappointing.
Yeah, but overseas, it probably will, and there'll be another dang Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. So apparently, this one's actually better than the first one. But
let me ask you this.
Ask me this real fast.
We see the
That's
budget.
not fast enough. Faster.
We see the budget of $135 million,
Yes,
right?
I
but
see that budget.
that's domestic. I mean, you do have to start paying stuff overseas as well. Do you have any idea how much overseas fees and things like that?
$18, something like that. They're
total.
They're dying for American product out there. They pay us to mark. No, I have no idea. And I don't know what percentage. Now that budget is.
That's how much it's costing to make and how much it is to pay the theaters to run the movie, and things like tons of stuff.
Is it the distribution? Is it the advertising also?
See, I thought it was, but maybe it's not.
I don't think it is. I think it's just the production budget.
See, the funny thing is the advertising could be $135 million.
Right. Exactly.
Worldwide.
Exactly.
So, I mean.
Well, it goes to the thing, and again, at some point we'll talk about that Warner Brothers movie that came out a couple months ago, and they were talking about how they'll make budget, they'll break even on it, and it did $870 million global, and they're talking about, and the production was, of course, not $870 million. Production was $250, which is amazing. That not just that movie, but it's amazing that that's the production cost of movies now. But obviously there are more costs than what they list as production costs if they're saying, well, they broke even. So
at $870 million.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's an exaggeration. I don't see how that's even possible. But back to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they better make a lot of money overseas, right? Because just what's listed, they're not even halfway there yet, domestic. So.
And they're not going to make that domestically because they only made 14 this weekend.
Exactly. They're not going to be close. A movie which has been kind of disappointing with the critics and really disappointing at the box office. X-Men Apocalypse did $10 million this weekend. This is his third week out. It has now totaled $136 million, which is that's pretty good. But the budget was $178. It is now past Wolverine, the solo Wolverine movie, as the 8th most popular X-Men movie, which is great, except there's only 9 X-Men movies. So this is supposed to be a big boom, big kick to revamp the beep, beep. Thank you very much for that notification from Facebook.
That was Hugh Jackman actually texting you.
Yeah, he's very upset. He argues that actually Apocalypse is actually still worse than Wolverine. So, yeah, I mean, that's got to be really disappointing for Fox. I mean, they were riding high on the success of Deadpool, as they should, and X-Men is the money. That's their franchise. That's the one that's working for them, not Fantastic Four, and they've tried 3 times now. X-Men's been their bankable thing, and it's not bankable, it's tankable. That's pretty bad. 130. That's worse than my pun. 136 is pretty pathetic. And I'll probably go see it this week because I'm interested. I didn't really care much for. I haven't really cared a lot for the relaunch with the new actors in the roles, and terrific actors. But it's just there's just something off about it, and I don't know what it is. But I didn't like the first launch of X-Men. The New Students, whatever the heck they called it, and I should have looked at it, and I didn't want to, and I'm not.
I think that's what it was called, actually, the X-Men or X-Men: The New Students.
The New Students, and then they had
Harry Potter,
the X-Men: Days of Future Past, and that was really dark and grim, and it's okay because it fits the story. But again, it was kind of missing something, and to me, the whole franchise there's something out of sorts with it, and I can't put my finger on it, and clearly Fox can't either because it's just really not working for them. Me Before You, weepy, and made some money. The Angry Birds movie, shockingly, has almost $100 million total. Did just under $7 million. It's wow. Apparently, it's a fun kids movie, and that's fine. Alice Through the Looking Glass,
huge hit.
Humongous
hit. Yeah, exceeding expectations.
Disney's rocking through the cinema world that started with Zootopia and then Jungle Book and then Captain America Civil War. And Train got derailed with Alice Through the Looking Glass. Did $5.5 million this week. It's its third week, and it's grossed $62 million. And it had 170 budget. Now it's doing well overseas, and again, I'm sure they'll make their money. Eventually they will through DVD and licensing and blah 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 blah. But and I was thinking of seeing it, but the first one was kind of so-so to me, and this one the reviews are even more so-so. So again, that's one I'm going to catch streaming. Number 9 is Captain America: Civil War, which really is an Avengers movie because almost every Marvel character is in it. Did a whopping $4.3 million. Which puts it at $857,343 domestic, and it's like $1.1 billion total global. Again, because I like kicking dirt on Warner Brothers' decision to let Zack Snyder take over their whole world. Captain America: Civil War. I mean, it's a Captain America movie. It's not officially an Avengers movie. Kicking the butt of a movie people have been waiting basically 60 years for. So, man, did they ever... And the real problem for them, to me, is not that Captain America: Civil War did better than they did. It's that Deadpool did better domestically. Deadpool, which is like a third-tier cult character for Marvel. And not a Marvel film, it's a Fox film. But, man, Deadpool did $777 million worldwide. Yeah. And no one... I shouldn't say no one was looking forward to it. I was looking forward to it. Geeks were looking forward to it. But, most people probably would have thought, if this movie does $100 million, we'll be happy. No, it does $750 million.
Well, because, bottom line, it was a good film.
It is. It is.
If you make a good film, people will probably show up to watch it.
Which is all. And I know a lot of people don't like it because it is not everyone's cup of tea. But production budget on Deadpool, $58 million. If they had made 100, they would have been happy. They did a little bit better than that. So, yeah, it's a terrific film for that genre. And by genre, I mean extremely misogynistic, foul-mouthed, full of sexuality, incredibly violent comic book movie, which is basically Deadpool. It's its own genre. So it's Sin City dialed up and really funny at the same time. It's very, very weird. It is certainly not everyone's cup of tea, but yeah, they actually absolutely kicked some butt on that. So that is your weekend box office. Again, The Conjuring 2 conquers all with $40 million, and Warcraft with 24. So there you go. Not a lot of holdovers. So
and I'll say this.
You should say this.
I've seen I see films, but it seems like I see a lot of films with my daughter Alex, who's not 6. By the way, people. So she's older than that, a little bit older. She's 9. No, I'm just kidding. She's in her 20s. So, but it seems like a lot of the films we see are scary films. It just turns out that way. So we've seen Annabelle, and we've seen Conjuring and The Conjuring 2 and lots of other scary films. This actually is a really good film. Will I lose some sleep tonight? Well, my wife isn't home. She's in the mountains with my daughter. Yeah, I'm gonna lose some sleep.
You gonna be scared.
I might bring Felix in and be like, Felix, because it's basically there's a demon in this film, and if we had a real demon in our house, Felix would probably say, I need some water and food, and the demon would probably be like, screw this house, I'm moving on to something else. So anyway, but no, the film's really, really good.
I like
It's Juan directed it.
Right.
People know him from Fast and Furious 7 and some other films. Really solid director.
Like
I mean, does he direct Oscar-winning films? Not yet. Does he have the talent? I think he does. But he does a really, really good job with pacing of this. A lot of people thought maybe it's paced too slowly. The reviews are good, but some of the reviews that didn't like it said maybe it's paced too slowly. It's definitely not paced too slowly.
No.
It's a great build up to the end. I mean, the end's a little bit. You can kind of tell what's going to happen at the end if you've seen a scary film, but it doesn't matter because the film itself is well acted. The storyline is really well written. He does an excellent job of directing the film. Definitely worth. I mean, it's a scary film. Of the ones I've seen recently, it's up there. I mean, I'll be honest, I liked Woman in Black. It was really scary because I like atmospheric scary films.
Right.
Woman in Black 2 wasn't as good. Is this better than The Conjuring, the first Conjuring, which is actually a pretty good scary film? It's up there, and it's a sequel. So if you can equal the sequel with the original, that says a lot, right?
We're all rhyming Simon today.
We are.
If you can equal the sequel, that's what I was going to ask you, and I knew you would get to it. Is it better than, or does it hold up to the original? And I haven't seen it yet, and I will see it this week. I really hate that when people say, well, it's paced too slowly. It's a horror movie.
Exactly.
Horror movies are supposed to build suspense, not just have a maniac jump out with a knife every 30 seconds.
It's a horror film, but it's not like Friday the 13th now. It's like it's a scary film. That's what scary films are supposed to do.
Horror movies have been subverted by the slasher films, and Halloween gets tagged as the beginning of the slasher films, and it's not. It's a very suspenseful building slope. I mean, that's more like that's more
Night of the Living Dead. Is that like, it's pace slow? I mean, it's scary. It builds up. That's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. It's that slow build. It's
The Exorcist.
It's suspenseful. Exactly.
Exactly, and the suspense is what makes a film scary. I mean, if you're just showing somebody getting cut all the time or shot, that's not scary. It's just like a sensory overload.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, it's well paced, and you. I like that they build up. You think it's one thing, and it's not necessarily that thing. It's something else, and I don't want to give that away, obviously.
Right.
But
sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's well acted. There are good actors in this film, and it takes place mostly in England, and it's good. It's a good film. People should see it, and it's worthy of being number one at the box office.
Excellent summation, sir. I think you are, dare I say it, dead on.
Nobody dies in the film.
Oh, that's sad. Oh well. You know another film that nobody dies in? Finding Dory. Nobody dies in the film.
That's not true. Fish get eaten.
Well, they're not people. They're fish. They all die. That's the big reveal. That's
so fishist.
Spoiler.
It's really fishist.
Spoiler alert. It's a fish fry. Are you looking forward to seeing Finding Dory? Are you even considering watching Finding Dory, which comes out, by the way, this Friday? We have moved on to coming attractions.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, if it's anything close to the first one, which was, of course, Finding Dory. I'm joking. It's Finding Nemo. But Finding Nemo is a very good film. It was one of those films when Disney was still making quality animated films, and Frozen's a good film. I don't mean to diss that, but I am. Yeah, I think my daughter will want to see it.
I'm sure she will. Alex,
it does
really
look like
to see this.
Yeah, it does. Alex, I'm sure she may.
She might. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, there seems to be I guess there's a lesbian relationship in that. I've heard rumors of that. I haven't seen the film, obviously.
No, I'm really not amped for this movie, and I like animated films a lot. And I'm not talking about this adult anime stuff. Just I like animated films. I like Disney films. I like Pixar films. This one doesn't really have my attention unless it's working as a bridge to Losing Nemo when he goes through his angsty teen period. Losing Nemo, I would go see. Finding Dory, I think I'll skip. I'll watch it when it hits the flicks of nets.
No, you'll see it at the theater.
No,
you'll give in and you'll see it.
I won't see it at the theater unless I'm coerced by other people. Also opening this weekend, which is not this weekend, it's next week. You know what I'm talking about. On the 17th, Central Intelligence. After he reunites with an old pal through Facebook, a mild-mannered accountant is lured into the world of international espionage, starring Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart. The tagline.
It'll make tons of money.
Oh, well. One of the taglines, which, it's a little bit crass, but I think it's really, really funny. And of course, it's one of these huge theater posters, and it's got Dwayne Johnson, gigantic Dwayne Johnson, and little tiny Kevin Hart, and they're life size. And Kevin Hart is like the size of a popcorn bucket, and it says, "You need a big Johnson and a little Hart." And it's like, wow, really? It's like, what this film was going to be like just from seeing that. I probably will actually go see it at the theaters. Dwayne Johnson is almost always entertaining. I mean, there's some films that he just can't overcome. That's all there is to it. But he's extremely funny. Kevin Hart's extremely funny. I'm looking forward to it. I think, like you said, it's certainly, if this movie does not make a lot of money, I will be shocked. Because, man, this is summer. This is a summer movie all over it. So hopefully it does really well. A film which probably won't do a lot of money is Swiss Army Man. Have you seen any of the trailers?
I think I saw one, yeah, and I was like, that's interesting.
Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe. Paul Dano is, if Paul Dano's in it, okay, you know it's going to be a pretty strange movie to begin with, right?
Well, now at this point, I mean, Daniel Radcliffe's in some really strange films.
Exactly. I mean, the Star of Horns, which is a pretty cool movie, but Swiss Army Man, basically a guy is stranded in the wilderness, and he befriends, as it says, he befriends a dead body, and together they go on a surreal journey to get home. So Daniel Radcliffe is the Swiss Army Man, as in the Swiss Army knife. Whatever he needs to do, the dead guy does for him. He manages to get the dead guy to do this. I'm absolutely going to go see this movie, and I won't care if I hate it. It's doing something different. They're trying to do something entertaining, and they're going way off on into the deep waters with themselves. In some cases, literally, because apparently he uses like a jet ski at one point. I'm not quite sure how that works, but apparently he fuels him somehow, and he is propelled from his rear end, and that's kind of what it looks like. Absolutely going to go see this movie, and it might be terrible, and if it's terrible, well, that'll suck. But I'm happy that it's not a director, let me see if I can make Transformers 17. It's something different. So I hope it works really well. And there's a few things. I mean, there's a smaller films, Tickled, which is a documentary about a tickling subculture. No kidding. Google it yourself. I'm not going to go into it anymore. The Last King, a foreign film directed by Niels Gaup with Anders Dahlberg, Asmund Brode Elke, Elge Uggesen, Paul Sverhagen. It is about... Yeah.
Another Mexican film.
Yeah, another Mexican film. It's about the king's... This is 2000. This is 1206, Norway. The king's illegitimate infant son, Hakon Hakonsson. Half the kingdom wants him dead. He's guarded in secrecy by two men. A story which changed the course of the country's history. I just want to see a movie that's about a guy named Hakon Hakonsson. Basically, the blurb says, if you like Game of Thrones and you don't want to have to go through 7 seasons of it, if you just want to get it done in 2 hours, this is your movie. So hopefully it's playing around here. I'm sure it won't be, but I know where it will be. I'm sure it will be at Downtown West in Knoxville. So make a trip to Knoxville and go see it. And there's some stuff. So if you want...
Art Bastard. You're forgetting Art Bastard.
Please discuss Art Bastard.
What is art? And how does it relate to society?
It's a bastard.
Is its value determined by its popularity or its originality? Actually, that's a really good question.
It is.
As far as art.
That is a good question.
Is the goal profit or expressing one's personal vision? These are some of the ellipses, because I didn't read the rest of it. Anyway, it's Art Bastard. It's Los Angeles only at this point. It's a documentary.
Which means it'll be in Downtown West in about a month. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a documentary. It's gotten actually pretty good reviews so far. So
it does sound really interesting. Seriously, it sounds very cool.
It does. Because it's asking the question.
Yeah.
Art. What is art?
Our show.
A lot of people say
is our show about expression, or is it about monetizing our expressions?
Well, it's about playing on other people's art forms and hope we'll make some money off of it, basically.
Yep. Send us money. Just go to your local post office box. Put it in box 107, and we'll pick it up later. Anything else for the week of the 17th? I want to briefly touch on the 24th when we'll just on a couple films.
Oh, no, go ahead. Yeah, we only have about a minute left.
Okay, and June 24th, Independence Day Resurgence. The previews look good. Hopefully it's been fun. It's been long enough, so I think it's a good time for a sequel. It's the original director, Roland Emmerich. Notably, it does not, of course, have the king of the summer blockbusters, because he no longer does this. Yeah, Will Smith is not in it. The character is in there portraying his son. Jeff Goldblum is in it. Most everyone else that was in the first one is in this one, so hopefully it'll look good. The Shallows, which is kind of a low-budget, tightened version of Jaws, basically, has Blake Lively in a bikini, so there you go. And now you want to go see that. And Free State of Jones, which is about... Google it. It sounds really interesting. Matthew McConaughey.
It does, actually. I agree.
Matthew McConaughey is in it. And it's about a guy who leads a group of rebels to create the Free State, their own country, against the Confederacy. So definitely
it's basically a group of Texas people who break away from the Confederacy when the Confederacy broke away from the Union.
Yep.
That's basically what it is.
So, and it looks like it's a really good film. It's the previews alone make it look really intense. It's probably a light comedy. Matthew McConaughey, the funny thing is, at the end of the movie, They come up on this Lincoln, and Matthew McConaughey just looks at it, And he says, the feeling stays with you.
He says, I don't think he says that. I think he says, uh-oh, spaghetti-o. That's our show. Thanks for listening.
Almost spit my beer out.
What plan will you follow now?
Plan 9. It's been absolutely impossible to work through these Earth creatures. Their soul is too controlled.
Plan 9. Have you attempted any of this plan as yet?
Yes, Excellency.
Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Today, Bridget Griffin shared a video of her daily yoga routine, 2 self-help articles, and her new blog called Build Your Inner Bridge with Bridge. Girl, your sharing has turned into oversharing. No worries, Bridge. Geico has some info worth sharing with your 7 blog followers, like how you could save money on your car insurance, update your policy, and report a claim just by visiting geico.com. How's that for building your inner bridge? Bridge? Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Earlier this week, Claire Tippins shared a princess nickname generator, 3 pictures of her dog wearing a tutu, and 2 online quizzes, including what candy is your dream castle made of? Claire, your sharing has tipped the sugar scale and turned into oversharing. But have no fear, princess. Geico has something worth sharing with your internet kingdom, like how you could save hundreds on your car insurance just by visiting geico.com. No magic wand required. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.